What's up, beautiful people, and welcome back to another comic book review video where I say words about a comic book I read and you, the magically delicious, listen. It is I, your crazy Nicolas Cage, your steward of Gondor, your genius, billionaire playboy, basic YouTuber philanthropist, SuperCliff. And would you guys be ever so kindly as to smash that like and subscribe button, because every little bit helps in this crazy YouTube world. And today, guys, we are continuing our epic quest with Superman Action Comics, issue number 1034, written by the majestic Philip Kennedy Johnson, with the art drawn by Christian Druce and the colors by Adriana Lucas. And away we go. Alrighty, folks, so our story picks up with these Warzoons, whom were able to transport themselves from their prison cells within the Fortress of Solitude, completely unnoticed, due to this blue ball object that they possess. And upon doing so, they were able to apprehend Thao-La as a means to persuade her to finish the mission that she was assigned to do so by Mongol. However, these baddies were eventually met with the arrival of badass mofo Lois Lane. And Lois, she's currently armed with some sort of Kryptonian gun. And like a boss, she straight up tells the Warzoons to back away nice and slowly, or else get blasted. But of course the bad guys don't listen, and thus a battle ensues. Lois is firing her gun at the Warzoons, while Thao-La is seemingly coming into her own with her newly developed powers. But unfortunately, despite the two of them fighting back, at the end of the day, they are just not strong enough to take on the Warzoons. Plus, the Warzoons are in the possession of that blue ball, which is shown to be granting them additional power. And so once the fight starts to die down, with both Lois and Thao-La subdued, the leader decides to demonstrate Thao-La's punishment, her reward for ignoring Mongol's wishes, their master's wishes. Ooh. And so, this is where he walks over to the two refugees, and with these two beings, whom are still unconscious, the Warzoon, he walks over, picks them up by the throat, and smashes their heads together, killing them, like a pair of tomatoes crashing against one another. Their heads are smashed into a bloody pulp, but in her rage, Thao-La screams to the maximum of her ability, and from there, she unleashes hell on Earth, as her optic beams are turned on to level 10, and immediately, blue lasers erupt forth, disintegrating the Warzoons to mere bone, leaving 3 skeletal remains in the process. And upon seeing her fellow Kryptonians dead on the floor, Thao-La turns to face Lois Lane, telling her that she's sorry for what she's about to do. Next, we pan over to the Atlantic Ocean, where the American Navy is having a standoff against the forces of Atlantis, because of course Atlantis is currently in the possession of the object that the United States wants. And so because of this, and wanting to have the shard, both nations are willing to go to war. They are willing to initiate World War III over some stupid, silly space rock. Now, Superman, alongside Supergirl and Superboy, are desperately trying to be the moderators of this dispute. They are trying to defuse the situation. However, both the Americans and the Atlanteans, their patience levels have literally expired, and so shit's about to pop off any second. Eventually, the Americans are like, F this, and they immediately begin to fire. But before the naval cannons can wreak havoc upon the Atlanteans, Superman intercepts, deflecting the Navy's bombardment. However, despite Superman saving the Atlanteans, Commander Merc in response orders Atlantis to return fire. Now, although Supergirl and Superboy are able to intercept the blast, things are sure to escalate, to the point where eventually one of the heroes will slip up, thereby causing someone's ship to end up getting destroyed from the crossfire. Therefore, seeing that words are just simply not going to be able to persuade either side from standing down, Superman dives straight towards the water. From there, he unleashes his ice breath, and as a result of this, Superman is able to construct a giant ice wall, separating the two opposing forces from firing upon one another. Afterwards, Superman dives under the ocean, making his way through the ocean depths. Eventually, he comes across the shard that the Atlanteans have holed up. However, before Superman can grab the shard, he's confronted by Aquaman, Arthur Curry. Now, Aquaman, he was so sure that Batman was going to be the one who would end up trying to steal the artifact. And so seeing on how that's just not the case here, Aquaman, he isn't an idiot. Dude knows that he's completely outmatched when it comes to facing off against Superman. So here, Aquaman tells the Man of Steel that if he does this, if he takes the shard away, it's going to change things between the two of them going forward. But Superman doesn't care, and with that, he takes off with the shard. And once he's in the sky, Superman tells both sides that he's taking the shard away, furthering the point by saying he doesn't care how mad people are going to get at him, because if his actions have the ability to save lives, then everything would have been worth it. And with that, the Superman family takes off. And while our three heroes are flying across the sky, Kara mentions her concerns, telling Clark that she doesn't think that what he did back there was the best option. But Superman is defending his actions, saying, well, what did you want me to do then? You know, what could I have done to not have all that happen? And Kara's like, I don't know. However, as they're flying, John mentions that he can't hear a single thing from the Fortress of Solitude. Therefore, there are two possibilities as to what's going on. One, someone is blocking out communications, or two, everyone inside is dead. And so with that, Superman heads straight towards the fortress. And as they get inside, they see nothing but bodies of the refugees and the skeletal remains of the Warzoons. And while Superman is calling out for Lois, he is immediately blasted back by Thao-La's optic beams. And as the rest of our heroes turn around, they see Thao-La clutching Lois Lane by the throat. And she tells our heroes this is something that she does not want to do because, you know, her entire life, she's looked up to Superman. Thereby, we know, like, she really doesn't want to do this. And thus, she's really sorry. And so because of this, the fight between Thao-La and Jonathan Kent begins. And that was Action Comics, issue 1034. And once more, Philip Kennedy Johnson continues his epic World War Rising story arc by adding consequences, following certain decisions made by the book's characters, adding stakes, whilst giving suspense, which will keep you on the edge of your seat during the course of your time reading this issue. I enjoyed seeing Thao-La essentially freak out after having had watched her comrades die at the hands of the Warzoons, and honestly, I was sort of shocked by it, you know, because from the way in which they were killed, it was pretty brutal. However, sometimes I do believe that in stories, you need things to become destructive and, you know, unfortunately brutal in order to view a character's response from a much more realistic sense. And here the art by Christopher Deuce and the colors by Adriana Lucas truly highlight that scene, thereby making Thao-La's decision towards portraying Lois Lane much more believable. Like it wasn't simply her comrades getting taken as hostage, it was more like, hey, let's kill these two to send a message. And so I very much enjoyed that. It added stakes. It added a sense of, oh, like maybe anything can happen. But the major highlight of this issue was when Superman decided to intervene as a means to stall the war between the Americans and the Atlanteans, at least for the time being. And I quite liked when Superman was confronted by Aquaman, and the fact that the issue doesn't even entertain the notion of Aquaman taking on Superman. Yet Arthur's warning regarding Superman's actions and how it will affect our work with one another was definitely unsettling, and so I wonder if this course of action will affect them in future books, or compromise their teamwork in books such as the Justice League. Overall, Action Comics issue 1034 continues to progress the Warworld Rising story arc quite nicely, with the book doing a fantastic job and pushing Superman to his maximum limit, tempting the idea on whether or not Superman's actions will affect his status quo amongst the world, along with his relationships, like with his family or that of Aquaman. Action Comics issue number 1034 gets a 9.5 out of 10. Giggity goo.